So we're here, episode 8 of Passing the Mic with the Inglewood Public Library. I'm speaking to Jamal Hill, professional athlete and Inglewood champion.
Amen to that. Amen to that. Thanks for having me today, Shawn. Happy to represent the City of Champions at the Paralympic Games this summer.
Wonderful, wonderful. So there our listeners may know about your Olympic achievements.
Yeah.
But more importantly for our podcast, whose purpose is to connect our patrons with the services that are offered in the city, is your nonprofit.
Absolutely.
Swim Uphill. Could you tell us a little bit about that and how that started up?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Swim Uphill Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit. It is ultimately it's a part of my brand. It's like an element of the vertical integration of the Jamal Hill brand. So when I first joined the Paralympic movement in 2018, I won my first national championship. I'm standing on the podium with, this nice little shiny rock around my neck, and I wasn't overwhelmed with joy, but I was overwhelmed with enlightenment. And in that moment, I ultimately came to the threshold of what it means to be a champion. And that, being from the City of Champions, I think we may have one too many people in this world whose great gift to us is a smiling face and trophies. That there's got to be something more there than this esoteric concept of me pulling joy from what you've done for your own life, right? And so, kind of with all this culminating in my mind, man, I said to myself, well, hey, you know what? I'm obviously a pro swimmer. I'm pretty good at it. Going to be doing this for the next 10 years. I've done about the last 10 years working throughout LA County as a lifeguard. I've always loved service. When I was a kid, I wanted to be a pediatrician. All these types of things. And at this time, I have a big background in marketing too. So I'm really pushing my brand. Dude, just hit me all at once. You know what? I'm going to teach 1 million people how to swim. And that's going to be a part of my brand. That's, when people say Jamal Hill, when they say Paralympics, they're not going to not be able to bring up the Swim Uphill Foundation and this amazing mission and work that we're going to be doing. So that was the inception of it. And pretty much from right there, it started like this kind of crazy, almost marketing ploy of an idea into, really taking the time to do some research and realize, man, around the world, there are about 1 million people drowning every year. Most of those going unrecorded because they're happening in low to middle income communities and countries. And, obviously it is a class issue, but most class issues do oftentimes reflect racial inequities. So a lot of these people drowning around the world every year, just like here in the U.S., are going to be black and brown people. So with that in mind, pretty much myself, my business partner / swim coach at the time, we developed a new method called the Swim Uphill method that's designed to teach students how to swim in 5 hours. And we built the method based off of aquaphobics. So that's what we started. We're in the library here, so research is a very appropriate word. We began to research, who would be the most difficult person to learn how to swim? And if we could create a system and a program to effectively and efficiently teach them in a reasonable amount of time, then, we probably could scale that. And we got lucky. So the same methods that we use to teach aquaphobics, when we start them outside of the water, they use a bowl of water and different things, some psychosensory tools that are common to individuals with PTSD. So essentially, we kind of just take them through this method and this curriculum that we built that ultimately allows them to start to learn how to swim without having to be in a pool. And you can kind of see how there's already this overlap, right? Oh man, excuse me. So usually anyone that calls me knows I usually don't answer the phone. But the scam likelies are going crazy right now. But I say all that to say that people could learn how to swim without having to begin in a pool. Which is more important than just people with aquaphobia, right? That obviously goes into the issue of access. And people being able to get comfortable and have these skills. I always tell parents, you don't, before you send your kid to pre-K, they already got some skills from home. So that's pretty much our whole thing, is beginning this water safety and this swim education from home, building in this generational aspect to it, getting the parents, the grandparents, auntie, uncle involved, and that way once we get the kids in the water, they already have this baseline that we can now build on. And I'm not going to give it all away here, but we have very clear markers that pretty accurately project when a student is going to be able to make some forward progress across the surface.
Wonderful.
Yeah, man.
Wonderful. Great. So this was founded. You founded this mission with your coach.
In some ways, yes. So we definitely are co-authors, co-creators of the swim uphill method, the actual curriculum that we used to teach.
Yeah.
But I founded the Swim Uphill Foundation in spring of 2020. That's when the paperwork is official, But like I said, we've been doing the work and the research and running programs and things like that since 2018.
Wonderful. And I brought up your coach because while I was doing my preliminary research on you and your life, it seems like the moment that you met your coach was a huge catalyst for where you are today. So could you describe the value of that coaching and maybe how to seek out a coach if you're an uncoached person?
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, shout out to Woman Wong. The coach need not remain unnamed. Woman Wong, definitely a massive catalyst in my life. The best thing I can tell you without getting into any specifics about our coaching dynamic and relationship, to kind of just keep it on a general, appropriate scale would be, number one, look, good choices come from experience, and most experience comes from bad choices. So for me to even, when myself and my coach got together, dude, I'm pretty much a grown man at this time. I'm 22 years old, and this is a new coach. So me at that point, I knew that I needed a partner, right? I knew that I needed a mutually respectable working relationship, that whoever I put in this role, I was going to do the things that they said, not because I had to, but because I have empowered them with this title, right? I've empowered them with this trust. So I think that's the biggest thing, is having somebody that believes enough in you for you to believe in them, right? And from there you can start to build trust and things like that. But yeah, man, I'm 22 at that time, right? 26 now, so it's 4 years ago. I had gone through a lot of coaches, man. I had some better than others, some worse than others. Coaches on the collegiate level, high school level, even the age group level. So I say all that to say, I didn't just strike gold the first time out. You kind of got to kiss a few frogs, but from that, again, you gain experience. And then you know what you do not want, what does and does not work for you. So coming into that relationship, we had a really good chance of success.
Wonderful. And reaching this catalytic state, I feel like was so fascinating. How your journey across the country and back, basically.
Man.
Which was kind of making me think about college, and how college is always pushed as the only option for rising out of whatever social circumstances you live in. Could you describe your opinion of the college system and maybe your journey?
Yeah, absolutely. I think one thing that just kind of must be said is the logical fallacy of causation and correlation. Right? Like most people, I'm sure, see stats. Oh man, you go to college, you're gonna make this much more in your lifetime, or you're more inclined to be this much more successful. And you take any rudimentary statistics class, you start to really understand how facts can be swayed any type of way to meet a particular agenda. So that's the first thing I would say, just regarding higher education as an industry, college as an industry, that numbers don't always tell the same story that we're being told. So obviously we know there are plenty of people who have not gone to college and have been successful, and there are plenty of people who have gone to college and there's no telling whether they had spent those 4 years doing something else that they would be more or less successful. So definitely the person is always going to be the largest determining factor. With that said, I have a massive appreciation for education. For our podcast today, dude, you told me, oh yeah, we're gonna be in another building. I'm like, nah, dude, we gotta have the books in the background.
I really respect that.
So, and that's because, man, I'm an avid reader. I consume on average $3 to $5 a month, depending on
Wonderful.
depending on the tax size,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So anywhere from $3 to $5 a month, and education is 100% the key to things like generational wealth and generational evolution. We're usually only able to build off of the shoulders that we're standing upon, right? Standing on the shoulders of giants, as they say. So just education as a whole, that's definitely my perspective on it.
Yeah.
When we speak to college, there's a lot of great value there. I think everyone kind of has to make it make sense for themselves, whether man, woman, boy, or girl. But also just understand that college institutions are businesses at the end of the day.
Yeah.
They are business. My nonprofit, the Swimming Pool Foundation, is a business at the end of the day. There are certain bottom lines, there are certain non-negotiables. We have certain goals other than just our outward-facing mission in order to operate successfully and be around and serve as a business. And so just ultimately remembering that and understanding that, your interests as a student are ultimately going to be best served if the institution that you're going to, if they align, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I would say, man. I'm not here to bash collegiate institutions at all, but like I said, I went away to school, was there for 3 years, and after my third year is when I decided to drop out and become a pro swimmer.
Yeah.
That's what I felt called to do at that point in my life. But yeah, just can't drill it enough. Education is what the key is, and that I think the more that we can kind of get this almost like this common ground that no one body holds a monopoly on education.
Yes.
Then that's really what the key is. You don't have to go here to be educated. You can say you don't have to go here to do this. Education is as much of a human right as swimming, and that's what we're working to provide. So there you go.
Wonderful. Your comments are reminding me a lot of the community college system. How this is often ignored for these big name, big dollar institutions. So maybe for a listener who may have difficulties imagining themselves in these universities, they should check out the community college first.
Yeah, man. Hopefully. Mayor Butts, Inglewood Community College coming soon.
Hopefully.
But yeah, man, absolutely. I'll tell you this. My journey when my senior year, so I'm a hard-nosed guy. So once I have my mindset, it's set. So I had specific criteria for my collegiate experience. I'm like, it's got to be out of state, and they got to have a swim team. If they don't have those two things, I'm just gonna go to community college.
Yeah.
And so I was planning on going to community college. The craziest thing happened literally after I graduated as a senior. July after my senior year, this opportunity popped up, and I ended up across the country, sight unseen. But I say all that to say that, I've definitely been on community college campuses. I've been to Santa Monica, I've been to El Segundo just here in the Southern California region. And, so I've taken classes there, but I never have fully experienced it. So I don't think I'm the most qualified to maybe speak on the experience aspect. But just from a 30,000 foot view, dude, it's still just like, it's a stepping stone.
Yeah.
It's like if you want to continue in this formal education system, maybe you're not sure what comes next. Maybe you're feeling pressure from other people, dude. It's natural. Young people feeling pressure from parents, whoever, school board, It's a great next step, a great stepping stone, and a great opportunity to figure it out, dude. Because, let's be honest, living in this world costs money.
A lot of money.
Costs a lot of money, man. I spent a lot of money over 3 years. Trust me, man. I'm doing my best to make the most out of those experiences. But that community college environment is it's a low-hanging fruit to continue to just explore academia and to come into new and interesting and challenging ideas. And ultimately, that's what grows people. That's what evolves people as experiences and having your beliefs challenged. So so I think that's a great thing. I think that's a great space. Even if you never get a degree, just to take a semester and to try and learn something different, or to try and maybe you believe like this is the end all be all of religion, and so whether or not you convert, you take a religious studies class on something else for perspective, so that we can sit here and we can communicate and dialogue with differing ideas and it not come down to physical altercation.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. It's all about expanding your perception.
Absolutely.
Perception. That's kind of bouncing me back to your organization. Let's go back to your organization.
Yeah.
You know, to make a successful nonprofit, you need partners.
Yeah.
Are there any partners that Swim Uphill relies on to continue operations?
Yeah, and allow me not to,
Anyone you'd like to speak of?
Yeah, for sure. No, I appreciate that. So I would say the number one thing is, I'm not a fan of the word rely.
Okay.
I'm not a fan of the word rely. Not a fan of just the concept of dependency in general. But I will say that, there are definitely some bigger names that we can honor, but we're a volunteer-driven organization. Okay, and the most important aspect of that is we provide our volunteers more training, more opportunities, and ultimately try and do more experience than they provide us. So giving a lot more in advance than we receive in return, even though we are a volunteer-driven organization. So from our grants department to our project managers who will be running a swim event here with the city of Inglewood in this 2022 season to our email support team. All of these are volunteers. They're well-trained individuals. So that's the biggest thing is that's literally community partners. People from all over the nation that come together to help see this mission into fruition. Big shout out to our board of directors and our governance, amazing individuals. And then we definitely do have larger partners like Speedo. Speedo International is a big partner of ours. There are other organizations here in the Southern California region. Boys and Girls Club of Pasadena is a large partner. Boys and Girls Club of Metro City. The Angel City Sports, which is a Paralympic sports organization or adaptive sports organization with a rich history in the city. Hilda Bay, really powerful nonprofit out of Santa Monica. We've got some good roots here in Southern California, and we're quickly expanding up into the East Bay area, and hopefully, Swim Uphill is going to be a household name, not only in every nook and cranny of community of this nation, but again, moving beyond just the, moving beyond borders, right? Moving beyond borders and really beginning to impact this global endemic. Because, like I said, man, 1 million people around the world. Not to be morbid, but America is only representing on average 3,500 out of 1 million of those people.
Wow.
So it just goes to show you, this is a great place to sharpen our tools and to really get some impact. Always start at home. I'm a firm believer in that. Especially, at home as small as Inglewood, always start at home. But once you've got your skills and you're ready, now it's time to really get busy and to get into the world and start helping people.
Beautiful. And
Yes,
so
sir.
if someone wanted to volunteer are there also internship opportunities?
Yeah, absolutely.
How would they get involved?
Absolutely, there are internship opportunities. That is, when I say volunteer, that is, that we call them in their internships.
Great.
They are internships. They're agreements. We take it very seriously. They're, it's a serious job. So anyone that comes through and applies, they quickly understand how serious we take it. We invest a lot of time in them because we expect that to be returned right back. Because ultimately, it's not about Jamal Hill. It's not about the Swim Uphill Foundation. It's about this mission that we've agreed to work together on. So, I tolerate zero slack as we're working to that, man. Check out swimuphill.org online. That's the easiest way. Just swimuphill.org in a web browser. From that domain, you'll be able to access any of our social medias. You can plug into our query, our query form. Send us an email. Hey, I want to volunteer. Hey, I have this experience. I have this expertise. And we're actually moving into a Give 5, Save Lives campaign. So 5 different ways that individuals can ultimately help us progress this mission. And one of those is investing 5 hours a month of expertise. Whether you be an accountant or a lawyer, or maybe you're a local librarian, and there's an opportunity that we can align here to have a reading for the kids, and ultimately pull that group into some type of swim lesson activity. That's pretty much it. Swimuphill.org is going to be the best way to connect with our organization.
Great. fantastic answer. So going back to your work as a lifeguard, I know there's an effort currently in Los Angeles to recruit more BIPOC librarians, not lifeguards. Librarians too, but that's not what we're talking about right now. Would you have any advice for young people who wanted to get into this program? You know, it can be a little intimidating working for the city and working at a public school.
Absolutely, and I would say this, not to sidestep the question, but my advice would not necessarily be for the community members. My advice would be for the organization, the city, the county, because the city and the county these are some of our primary clients in the Swim Uphill Foundation. So we definitely run individual events every year. We run one event a month for 10 months. And across those 10 months, every year we teach 500 just internally as an organization. But we reach millions through community partners like cities and things like that. You know, by being able to not only increase their capacity of service, you know, so maybe they're only able to enroll 20,000, and now they can enroll 25,000, and we can actually track how many people have learned how to swim because of the systems that we're involved in here. But more importantly than that, what the Swim Uphill Foundation that the cities and counties are missing in this search for BIPOC lifeguards is a bridge. Is a bridge. Is a bridge to the community that they're looking to involve in. I think a lot of times, you know, you ask people, you go to symposiums and things like that, and if I ask people what they want, everybody says, we want more pools. It's pools that we need. And I say, no, it's not more pools that we need. We live in Southern California, you know. I don't even if Watts doesn't have many pools, just the general area, like we got more pools per capita than most of the United States. So it's not a matter of pools, it's not a matter necessarily of access, it's more a matter of systems. We need better systems. We need a better way for these black and brown communities, just call them what they are, these black and brown communities who, the city has these opportunities, right? They want them to be involved, but guess what? These people over here, number one, they're not incentivized to take part in it, right? Like, why would I do this? Right? There's no bridge there. There's a gap in connection, right? We want to hire you guys, but not only do they not have an interest, but they don't see themselves reflected in that space, right? So it's kind of like this problem that mirrors itself, right? So just helping these cities and things understand that you don't start at the end. And when we talk about needing more BIPOC lifeguards and things like that, we're start with the end in mind, but you don't start the race at the finish line. And that is what that is. Like, that is ultimately the culmination. What is that the culmination of? That's the culmination of a system that brings in black and brown youth to learn how to swim and grows them into swim team members and this and that. And then at the very end, we get a lifeguard. Right?
After 10 years.
After 5 to 10 years of being involved and understanding and enjoying aquatics, right? Because that's ultimately what made me become a lifeguard when I was 15 years old. My mom said that. But you know, I'm a young guy. Dude, I got to get a job. I got to make some money. I got to take the honeys out. I got to buy some new clothes. I'm like, where should I work? Should I go into fast food? Should I do this? And my mom told me, dude, look, you need to do something that you're going to enjoy every day. Okay, great. Let me be a lifeguard then. And it pays well. It pays, you know, I mean, for a 16-year-old, dude, you know, I was making, I don't know, like, close to $20 an hour, you know, 17-something dollars an hour. Dude, summer, you know, that's a good summer, man. You know, that's a good summer. But yeah, that would be my advice, man, is that they need a bridge. And ultimately, that's what my goal, that's what my personal goal is to be that bridge, to be a brick along that bridge that's connecting these two communities. And I think that's really the bigger problem at play. And when we work with cities, that's where we start. Like, yeah, of course, you guys want more black and brown lifeguards. In order to make that dream a reality, we got to build an infrastructure that produces it. There's no infrastructure that produces it, and that's why they're out here going on a mad goose hunt, trying to find them. Trying to, oh, look, we put up all these ads all over the city, but for some reason, nobody's still responding.
There's no original investment.
There's no original investment to be, you know, you got to plant the seed to reap the crop. You know, so that's what the Swim Uphill Foundation is here for, and that is that advice that I would provide to these entities, you know, looking to fill that need in the community.
Wonderful, man. just an announcement doesn't really get us anywhere. A new website doesn't change anything.
We're looking for black and brown lifeguards, guys. Like, and we pay this much. Like, dude, listen, that's great. Don't get me wrong. Every step in the right direction is by definition a step in the right direction.
Yes.
But is it the right step?
Yeah, we need larger steps.
We need more thought through steps. We've got to really think through, ultimately again the supply chain. Thinking through that supply chain. Well, heck, we want this product, and we want it, this product at this price and this quantity.
Yeah.
But that's the end all be all. Like, that's all we're saying is we were like, well, where are we getting it from? Why are we getting it from there? Why does this make the most sense? Right? None of these things have been figured out, and it's not products.
Yeah.
These are people.
Yeah.
People are developed. Right? People are built. People grow over time. They become invested. And that's ultimately what cities and counties are lacking. And it's no fault to their own. It's a bit of the American aquaculture that has disenfranchised low income, has disenfranchised black and brown communities. And now we're working to, knit a new fabric, right? To weave a new reality. And so it's really, really important that we do start on the ground level with real people where they are.
Wonderfully said. So turning this back on, me.
Yeah.
We're talking about weaving this, this web. Do you see the public library as a player in this long-term game that we're trying to establish here? And how do you think we could better help this process?
Yeah, that's actually really, really powerful. I think number one, the short answer is yeah. Because this is a public institution. This is essentially an institution of higher learning right here, right? We got thousands of books underneath this roof across any subject that there is. And one thing that we talk about in our foundation that I tell our lead interns, our lead staff, even our board of directors, that our game is to influence the influencers, right? Yeah. The people who make those policy changes, the people who set the agenda for the community, for the city. These are the people we're looking to influence, because these are the people who ultimately are making the decisions and doing things like that. So when we talk about, even just the Inglewood Public Library, there's many ways that I think that we can become more involved. From something as ground level as having swim awareness week at the library. That's a really low hanging fruit, and maybe there's more than one. Obviously, it makes a lot of sense during the summer. Yeah. But maybe it also makes sense to have a winter swim awareness week. Yeah. Just something wild. Maybe it's not specifically swim awareness. Maybe it's something, there's a shark week. Yeah. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here a little bit. Totally. But something that is just starting to build aquatics more into the culture. Like really highlighting and making it sound like something that these kids are being introduced to, and maybe it's going to spark an interest in. Yes. So I think that's one really easy, low-hanging fruit. And then even kind of building upon that, when you take an idea, I don't even want to give too many ideas here. That's a decent one. When you take an idea like that, right? Okay. Well, maybe there's a swim week or a swim day honoring this every quarter or something like that. And now we're talking about, this is the Inglewood City Library. Well, we all know that politics need media, right? And people need to know that their politicians are working on their behalf, because that's a great media opportunity. Now we're bringing in, guess what? Now we've got Sabrina Barnes from Parks and Rec Department in here talking about this. Now we've got Mayor Butts. You've done a few of them now. Mayor Butts is like, the pressure's on him. It's like, man, I got to get over to the library for 5 minutes. Just walk across the way for 5 minutes and talk about how important water safety education is to the Inglewood community, and how we're leading the county, we're leading Southern California in this search for not only BIPOC lifeguards, but just like this expansion of aquatic culture in BIPOC communities. Yeah. So just starting with, even something as simple as that, starting with the seed. This is a communal place. People come here to gather. People come here to gather and to learn. I think the library could be a wonderful catalyst for for influencing our youth, you know,
Yeah.
or whether they be, you know, 3, 4, 5 years old. I don't know how young they come into the library, all the way up until the high schoolers, you know.
Yeah.
So there you go. That's an idea, free of charge. You implement it. The only request I have is to be in attendance.
Thank you, thank you. You will be in attendance,
Amen to that.
and I will be working with them.
Okay.
Don't worry, I work on good ideas. So, getting back to this education,
Mhm.
you know, talking about books.
Yeah.
We're surrounded by them.
Yeah, man.
Are there any that you could cite that have been essential to your journey to where you are today?
Yeah, for sure. Pretty much one of my favorite authors is Peter Drucker, father of modern entrepreneurship. The Essential Drucker, I think, is a great collection of his works. Love that. I'm currently reading The Law of Seduction by Robert Greene. So Robert Greene, another phenomenal author, 48 Laws of Power, blah, 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 blah. Just an absolutely freaking powerhouse of an author, created so many amazing works. Something else that I really love is The Richest Man in Babylon. So that it's actually a pretty short book, but it is pretty much, it gives like 10 principles for growing wealth, developing wealth, and just, you know, keeping life simple.
Yeah.
And I think the format that the authors took to express these, you know, pretty essential financial keys, it's like a storybook style, you know, so it's something that can be read to a child or an elder, and they'll both, you know, pretty much engage with the material in a pretty enthusiastic way. So those are two authors that I love. That's one of my favorite books. I probably read Richest Man in Babylon, you know, a couple of times a year. Other than that, I would say resources, dude. Love the Libby app.
You do?
Yeah.
That'd
Love
be great to hear.
Dude, man, love the
Great to
Libby
hear.
app. You know, I think it's a great tool. You know, especially it's free. You have all the releases on there. You just reserve it, and then what I love most about it, there's a deadline. You know,
Yeah,
you know, you got this reservation for a month, so you know people respond to that. So I love the Libby app. I also use Audible. You know, I use my Kindle. I have my Kindle Unlimited subscription. So, like I said, I love audiobooks. I love reading I love reading my physical book while my audiobook plays. You know, to really kind of get that double whammy. But yeah, those are two really good authors. That's one. And then, believe it or not, actually, I'm working on memoirs of a Tokyo Paralympic swimmer right now. So. Hoping to release that. That would be my first book.
Wow.
That would be my first published book. I have a few book projects that are shelved that, you know, I'm still debating how we'll open that, but that'll be my first published book, releasing the end of the year, and it just pretty much is gonna take people through the 100 days leading up to Tokyo and the 10 days that I was in Tokyo. Just experiences, modes of thought, the challenges, every emotion that someone comes into when they're pretty much moving into a culmination of life experiences, you know, with a real deadline on it. So, no shameless plug there, you know. So when it comes out, make sure you're following Jamal Hill. Yeah, man. Other than that, I would say just in the spirit of education, you know, so thinking about going to finish my degree. Probably going to do it online. Been to college once, no need to be in a class again. So I'm decently excited about that.
Great.
One thing I am also very excited about, though, is I've just enrolled in a Spanish immersion course. So, you know, growing up in LA, my Spanglish is pretty top notch. But my Spanish is subpar. I was in Mexico City recently, and you quickly realize that Spanglish is not fluent Spanish. You know, so.
And where are you taking that through for anyone?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, I'm actually taking that through Lingoda. Lingoda is an online international resource, and what attracted me to them, they have these things called sprints and super sprints. So it's pretty much you register for a class once a day for 90 days. And as long as you make it to every class, you're never late and you never leave early, you get a full refund for the price of the course.
Wow.
So not only do you learn the language, but you get all your money back.
Yeah.
So that's a great resource. You got to commit to it though, otherwise it's one of those type of things. I imagine if you fall off, you could lose a big part of the incentive. You know,
Yeah,
like
definitely.
so it's one of those that are that's going to be a challenge for me for 12 weeks to you know, to really make it through. But I'm incentivized and I'm excited. You know, hopefully in the new year you'll have me back on and we'll have a Spanish version of this podcast. And yeah, that's it, man. So that's it. That's what I'm reading. That's what I'm learning these days.
Fantastic.
Yes, sir.
Fantastic, Jamal. So we've, you know, we're speaking to a real Inglewood champion here, and we've yet to discuss your actual, you know, your achievement, your globe-trotting, you know, conquering the pools of Tokyo.
Yes, sir. And
would you like to give the audience, you know, a brief taste of how that journey came about?
Yeah, for sure. So real quick, you know, obviously I have this amazing art with me here that I got from an Inglewood artist outside named Adrian, but I did leave my medal at home today. It's hanging up. It's hanging up. So you all forgive me for that, but you'll have to take my word for it. I did actually win a bronze medal at the Paralympics this summer. An individual bronze, no shame on the teams, but an individual shines a little bit brighter in my humble opinion. You know, you kind of can't lean on 3 other amazing people to bail you out of a situation, right?
True.
So, you know, man, I mean, we know how the testament goes. Hard work, dedication, patience, all these things that are necessary. Finding the right group, finding what works for you. One thing I could tell you about the experience, you know, most people think that me standing on the podium was the most powerful experience, and it wasn't. It was actually at the end of the race. That was the most powerful experience. And we're in a COVID context in Tokyo, so there are no fans in the stands. The only people in the stands are other athletes who were swimming earlier that night. So I finished the race, touched the wall, and if you've ever seen swimming on that level, it's like they touch the wall and they whip around real quick to see the board, right? So I touched the wall, and the difference between first and second is 200ths of a second.
Wow.
The difference between second and third is 200ths of a second.
Wow.
The difference between third and fourth is 1800ths of a second, right? So it's just like, you know, like just rattling off. And so I touched the wall, you know, even though you're focused, I can see this guy next to me just barely out-touched me. And, you know, I do know that, well, if you didn't know this, you can only afford to let 2 people do better than you. If you want to come home with the medal, you know, the Olympics, the Paralympics, most of the world never makes it to that level. And then once you've made it to that level, most of those athletes come home empty-handed. That's a fact. Most people who go to the games come home with nothing. You know, so that's a really, really, I'm not a huge fan of the word elite, but it is definitely, it's got some status to it. You know, you're a part of a rare club here. So I saw that dude touch the wall, and when I hit the wall, I didn't spin around. I didn't spin around to look at the clock. You know, I always shake people's hands next to me. I could hear people to my left cheering. But the reason I didn't turn around was because in that moment, I knew that I probably just put together the best race of my life up until that point. And whether or not I got 2nd place or I got 7th place, I wanted to appreciate that and just honor myself separate from any result. Right? Like, I didn't want any result to validate or invalidate what I had just experienced and everything that I had done for a lifetime, let alone the past 5 years, to get here and experience that. And so, man, I reveled in that. I honored myself, and my plan was to honestly never turn around. I was going to climb out of the pool and just check it out backstage, but after about 30 seconds, I could hear one of my teammates calling my name.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, well, look, they don't call your name if you didn't win a medal, dude. Ain't nobody shouting your name for 5th place, trust me. So at that point, I was like, all right, that's probably a good sign. And so I just went ahead, I turned around, and I'm just kind of squinting. It's hard to see. I'm squinting, and the feeling is just relief, man. You would think it's like, there's no big celebration. There's no just moment of triumph. It's just relief. You come from this point of, you know, anticipation for years, and now the moments leading into it are just some of the highest levels of anxiety and joy and hysteria, right? And just kind of this unknown future that has a date and a time, and right, it's like there's a destiny point here, very clear, defined destiny point. So having experienced it and then come out relatively victorious, dude, all you feel is relief. That's all you feel is relief. So there you go.
That's beautiful, man. Beautiful. The you know what you said about honoring yourself, I think, is absolutely massive, and I think that's also a great place for us to end this interview. You know, Jamal, it's been a true honor. You're the first champion that I've ever interviewed. And hopefully I interview more, but if this is it, this is great.
Dude, Shawn, it was an absolute pleasure, man. God bless you. God bless the city of Inglewood and this library, man. You know, my mom, I grew up coming in here a lot as a kid. My mom was a sheriff, so she worked, you know, literally on this block. You know, so I spent a lot of summers here. I spent a lot of time here as a kid, and it's really an honor to now be here having a conversation with you. So thank you for that opportunity.
Thank you, man. Thank you, man. And you know, hopefully more medals to come.
Hey, more medals to come. Amen to that.
All right.
All right, my brother. Cheers.